What's up, Inside Lines fam? I'm your host, Atoya Burleson. The injury bug has not been kind this NFL season, with several more players on the mend after Week 6. One of the most significant injuries from Week 6 was Lions star Aiden Hutchinson, who suffered a gruesome leg injury against the Cowboys. Hutchinson underwent successful surgery to repair a fractured tibia and fibula and is expected to make a full recovery, but he will likely miss the entire season. Also, wide receivers Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. suffered concussions this past Sunday. We will see what the status is coming up. And Commanders defensive tackle Jonathan Allen suffered what is expected to be a season-ending pectoral injury and is reportedly getting a second opinion on that. An unexpected injury, which they're all unexpected, but not on the player side, but on the coach's side, was NFL head coach Jim Harbaugh, who disappeared into the blue medical tent on the sideline during a game and then walked to the locker room with the training staff. Jim explained that in the first half, the upper chambers of his heart were beating as fast as 350 times a minute. An atrial flutter, he called it. Harbaugh explained that he had a similar episode during a Monday Night Football game against the 49ers back in 2012. So I'm praying all is well with Jim and the NFL players that are injured. Hopefully they make speedy and full recoveries. On another note in women in sports, in the WNBA finals, the New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx are deadlocked at one game apiece, with the finals shifting to Minnesota for the next two games on Wednesday and Friday. A winner-take-all Game 5 would be played back in New York on Sunday. Last Thursday's opener was the first WNBA finals game in history to surpass 1 million viewers. That's right, 1 million viewers, with the audience on ESPN coming in at 1.14 million. Ratings for Sunday's game 2 on ABC and one of the many playoff matchups scheduled head-to-head against NFL action have not been released. But that number was up 142% from 2023, which it was only at 470,000. So this was the most watched WNBA playoffs in 16 years, y'all. That's so amazing. And this year's semifinals alone were already higher than last year's WNBA finals, averaging 850,000 viewers across 9 games. I am so excited to see what the NBA continues to do. I pray that they continue to soar and do their thing. And thank y'all for supporting women's sports. Okay, y'all, let's get into our episode with former fitness model, youth sports coach, and fitness trainer Leah O'Connell, and wife of the Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, as well as YouTube TV researcher Chelsea Adolfo-Mensah and wife of GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. This episode you don't want to miss. On the podcast today, we have a YouTube TV researcher, Chelsea Adolfo-Mensah, and former fitness model, youth sports coach, and fitness trainer, Leah O'Connell. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to get into all of the things you ladies have done thus far in your lives. Starting with you, Chelsea, I know they're wondering, what is a YouTube TV researcher? Can you get into that and explain that for us?
I get the question all the time. I think my mom asked me for about 5 years, but the title is, or the sphere of work is UX. And so UX stands for user experience. And so my team, we basically study the user experience for YouTube TV products. So YouTube TV, we also provide the ability to watch TV on youtube.com. And then we also, with the new product of NFL Sunday Ticket, that also is a product that I research. So our team focuses on qualitative research methods, if you want to geek out in terms of the work itself. But
on there.
Leah and I have long coffee dates talking about qualitative methods. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful area of work that I've been able to invest last 10 years in, and feel super grateful to work on the team that I do at YouTube and the opportunity to work at Google.
I want to talk to you, Leah, in regards to Okay, when you say a former fitness model, that is so cool, right? So talk about like how you got into that. Like, where did this come from?
Yes, it was not super grateful for the experience and getting to do that. It was not something that I grew up saying I want to go into modeling. I was actually a collegiate volleyball player. Played since I was 12, always aspired to play in college. And so I played at San Diego State. I was a setter there. And through that, one of my best friends and former teammates, my outside hitter, she and I got a job on the side with Quicksilver, kind of doing stuff in-house for them. From that... From that, the woman who did bookings for that, when Kevin and I moved to New York, and he played with the Jets, she connected me with an agency in New York City called Wilhelmina. And so I signed on with them, and they have different kind of categories of genres or genres of modeling. And so they have, runway, high fashion, beauty, and then fitness and lifestyle was one of their categories. And just kind of felt like a natural fit for me in regards to my background in athletics. I kind of had a hard time stepping outside, stepping out of being an athlete. And so it was something that I could continue doing training and working out, which I'm really passionate about. But so I worked with brands like Nike and Athleta and Under Armour, got to do some really, really fun stuff with that and travel around. And when we finished our time in New York, we moved back to Carlsbad is where we're from. And I did some modeling up in LA with the same agency. It just became a little bit too much to be driving all the way up to LA from Carlsbad and traffic. And so
we all know about that LA traffic.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And we kind of started pivoting our plans of, we wanted to start a family. And so that's when I shifted into youth training and personal training. And so that was a super fulfilling job for me. Yes. I've always been kind of a natural encourager, and I love bringing people to their best. It really fills my cup. And so watching people accomplish things that they didn't believe that they could do on their own was something super, super special. And I got to work with people that were 50 all the way down to age 9. So it was a really cool experience for me. And beyond that, we started our family. So
that's awesome. Okay, because I have to ask, and this is probably not fair of me to ask you, but what's your favorite age? Like what, out of all of those people that you train from 50 to children, like youth, what would you say is your favorite age?
That is so hard. The kids, it's so fun because the kids, you're teaching them, and you kind of have to meet them where they're at and speak in their language and challenge them in ways that are going to push them to their limit, but also not discourage them to where they think, oh, it's too much, or I can't do that. I also remember training one of my clients who, I think I want to say he was like mid-40s at the time. And I had not had kids yet. I was still fairly young. So I was strong. And now post our 4th kid, I'm like, my body's changing and I'm tired, like you kind of, your life ages you. And I remember him looking at me when I was doing putting him through a circuit. And he was like, I was like, okay, we just have, 10 more reps or whatever. And he's like, I can't really say what he said, but he's like, you think I'm a wuss, don't you? I'm like, no, like you got it. But it was fun to kind of see how people challenge themselves in their own mind through their own self-talk. And so I don't know. I can't really say I have a favorite age because every age is so different in what you are asking of those people. But the ages between 9 and 45 are probably my favorite. So.
Somewhere in there. Yeah. Somewhere in there. That's fair. That range. Is totally fair. Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about the both of you and just you both have these strong ties to sports, right? And to your points of, even where you live, like being in the warm climates, I know that you both kind of lived in California, and then one of you lived in Honolulu, which is like, that's not so bad, right? And then also, Leah, I know you grew up in Arizona, which is where I'm from. Shout out to the 602. But my question to you is, being in these warm climates, do you feel like that played a huge impact in sports for you? And how did growing up there kind of help create who you are, your beliefs, and like what you feel is important now in adulthood?
Love the question.
Yeah.
So I was born in Honolulu.
Talk about it.
Yes, I am a water woman at heart. I'm a swimmer. I'm a surfer. There's not much surfing here in the Twin Cities. I've heard that Lake Superior has some waves if you wear a 5'4" and you're willing to, rock in those climates. But yeah, no, I kind of, your question going back to, the influence of where we grew up. I mean, if we're speaking about Arizona, I grew up under Lute Olson basketball. So my mom went to U of A. She played tennis at U of A. We lived in Arizona, Tucson for a little bit. My mom's born and raised in Tucson. So I've got mad love for Arizona. I grew up in the Bay. So Silicon Valley very, very much shaped my life. So the tech companies, that's where I met my husband. Kwesi was with the 49ers. I was working for a sports and music startup in San Francisco. Both of us were, on our career ambition journeys. It was really cool to meet at that time.
Yeah.
He just, wrapped up his master's at Stanford, and I had graduated Berkeley, and we were very much just kind of in the grind mode, love what we're doing. But, I often tell people, like, the road to where you want to go often is not so glamorous, like very much remember working 2 jobs, barely making rent in San Francisco.
Yes.
I would say growing up in the Bay Area, the term entrepreneur, I think, has a different type of meaning. When I hear the term, it's, the companies of Facebook and, Instagram, like the companies that have truly changed the social fabric of how people communicate. I think, cars and, the term entrepreneur, I think really kind of just shaped all these different startups and kind of what, successful people do. I would say that at the core of who I am is very much an artist. And I think that's something, I would say Leah and I both share is the kind of the pursuit of the craft itself. Both of us, like, I don't want to let Leah share, but like both of us designed our own clothes growing up. Both of us we both played D1 sports. I was a basketball player that then played water polo in college. I didn't play for 4 years. I only played quickly. And then the coach and I both were like, let me announce your games instead. Was a better use of time. But yeah, I think like that's a long-winded way, Toya, just going back to your original question of like, kind of being Honolulu born, growing up in Silicon Valley, being very much shaped by the tech world, obviously has influenced me and like where I work today. I think very much athletics at the core of being raised by, the woman I was raised by and being surrounded by athletes. There is this level, this aspect of team and this aspect in the pursuit of something greater than yourself that has been very attractive to me. Like my whole life working on elite teams, no matter what arena, whether that's at Google, whether that's with the Minnesota Vikings, but just being with people who've really dedicated their life to their craft is something is very attractive and something I feel like Leah and I both share. So that's what I would answer.
Absolutely. I second all of that. Growing up in Arizona, I spent a ton of time outside, obviously, because it's very warm. I moved around a ton as a kid. My dad was he played both in the NFL and the USFL and then got into coaching, coached at junior college up in Canada, lived in Vancouver for a couple of years. He was always, I'm very close with my whole family, my sister, my dad, and my mom, but my dad very much pushed my sister and I on like the athletic side of things and both mentally and physically. It's funny now training my 10-year-old son and going out and working out his little team, I remember my dad being like 45 and running, 100-yard sprints with me when I was 17 and still pushing me. And, but in that gentle way of, somehow it's just inside you. You can't really create that type of competitive nature. It's either in you or it's not. But I feel like he really kind of shaped that in both my sister and I, pushing us in the right way, but also not so much to where he was pushing his dreams on us. He wanted it to be our own. And I remember always doing physical things, whether it was hiking in Arizona or being out on the lake or, my sister and I hiked Pikes Peak in Colorado. It's like a 14,000 foot whatever. And, I don't know, there just was always challenges that he was presenting to us. And my mom was our absolute biggest cheerleader at every single tournament, and just really kind of like the backbone of our family. So the warm weather, I feel like, was conducive to being outside and doing a lot of different activities like that. But to Chelsea's point, I think that being a competitive athlete translates into your life ethics in so many more ways than you could even really explain, whether it's working. I'm currently now a stay-at-home mom, and it's like, how well can I do that job? How well can I create our home to be our sanctuary? How well can I just equip our kids to be strong, confident, successful individuals themselves, and teach them the right way to be, whether it's treating people the right way, kind of holding themselves in an upright manner that's respectable, and just always putting their best foot forward. And so I feel like sports in general kind of, translates into every other part of my life. And I compete, if you will, at everything I do, whether it's, with my own kids or making dinner, I want to make a really great dinner, just trying to do the best that I can in whatever season of life that we are in. But we have moved all over the place, lived, either have family in a state or have moved or visited or whatnot. And so I feel like with those experiences of travel too, as Chelsea mentioned, you just kind of start observing things. I feel like it's really important to never stop learning. No matter how old you get, there's always ways to grow and things to learn, and culture is ever changing. And so I think a hobby of both hers and mine is just kind of recognizing that and recognizing the trends that have become popular, whether it's in fashion or sports or family or whatever it is. I feel like we're really observant to details, and that's kind of what led us to, even like our friendship of what we have in common is a lot of those common threads. So.
Well, that was my next question is talking about, all of the similarities that you both possess, whether it's, where you're raised, whether it's sports, and even the creativity side. I can tell it's kind of bonded you two. Talk about how you met and then finding out all of these similar attributes that you both share. Talk about how those synergies came to what you're going to share today.
Yeah. We met here in Minnesota. We did not know each other prior to coming here. Met through our husbands, obviously, getting the jobs that they have here with the team. And I was just telling her this morning, I've never met someone that, this sounds so cheesy, but she could literally finish my sentences, or it's like we're always on the same wavelength of like what we're thinking and different settings that we're in, or just have such similar responses. And I feel like this lighthearted gratefulness of just every day that we get to be here on this earth, I think is a commonality that we have, but just a care for the goodness in people and each other. And I just love this girl. Love her so much.
The love. So how do I describe this? So one of my girlfriends who we both share said, "Hey, you're going to love the head coach's wife. I think you guys might become best friends." And I was like, whoa. As
like, I already have
no. But when people say that, that's like a best friend.
Yeah.
That is sacred ground.
Yeah.
And I remember we actually, before we both moved our families, out to Minnesota, we actually grabbed a FaceTime. And, I was kind of in the transition from moving from Santa Cruz, like our life in Santa Cruz and Cleveland, Ohio, into Minnesota. And we just chatted, just about life. And I remember I texted the girlfriend and I was like, okay, I think there's something to your statement here. And so yes. And so it's, as Leah mentioned from the very get-go, there is this element of like family first, like relationships, creative, this really, I don't want to say like dog competitor, but like Leah and I, we go hard in the paint, Yeah. So like the only thing I wish actually is that we could have had the opportunity to actually play sports together on the same team. I think like that would have been pretty wild. But I wasn't that great of a volleyball player, so I wouldn't have made her team. But it's I think that at the core, kind of to your question, Atoya, like where the genesis of this idea came from, it really started just kind of like all of the place of privilege, right? That the GM and head coach's wife that we sit in, of being in rooms that I remember one time I came back and, Kwesi and I were having dinner and we were pregnant at the time with our firstborn. And I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like I feel so privileged. Like for the first time in my life, I feel like my life actually makes sense. Like my career pursuits for the last 10 to 12 years is finally lined up. Like I remember some of our executives from YouTube were at the NFL annual meeting. And it was so cool to say like, hey, like both work at the same company. They're there, to speak on behalf of the product. Like my husband's there representing the Minnesota Vikings. I'm there representing the Minnesota Vikings. I'm also there, as someone who works at YouTube TV. Like just being able to grind like so long in something of a pursuit and like with our guys and like seeing their journey and seeing everything that they've accomplished. I think that was kind of this genesis of like, okay, how might we add value to this journey? And like the goal, the North Star for us was driving fan engagement with the Minnesota Vikings fan base. And I mean, it actually came from a breakfast that we had, in New York, and that we really wanted to kind of pursue this aspect of a new bespoke limited edition collection to drive fan engagement, and whether or not, the climate, if you will, was right to bring to market something like what we were thinking about. And so, Am I going on it? I think I might be going on a long tangent here, but our friendship.
We're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. No, you were. I think to your point, everything had to align, right? And so thinking about all of these, like, what could we do? How can we make this special? What do we love, right? And what do we want to bring to the table that other people will love as well? I can definitely tell that you both have that. But who decided? I need to know who decided, okay, we're starting with, like, who decided what, had that idea first?
I think
let's just go with Leah.
No. Back to her point of we used to make our own clothes in college. I mean, it's kind of just, we went out to dinner. I think was it last year for our birthdays, and even longer than that ago. But just talking about again, hobbies that we have, how we could drive fan engagement for the Vikings, and then we started kind of through that conversation. What emerged was kind of this recognition of, hey, there's kind of what do we have in our team shop? There's this brand kind of serves this group of what they might be looking for. And there's sort of different genres of fanwear. And one thing that we really love is high fashion. And it's something that's really interesting to us. It's a form of art. We also were really inspired by the art that was around the facility and in the stadium, and really what started to brew in our conversation were all these bullet points, if you will, of things that we put together in our presentation from the very get-go of like, hey, how do we drive fan engagement for the Minnesota Vikings? They do such an unbelievable job at bringing special to their fan base, which is why their fan base is so loyal, in our opinion. I mean, we've been all over, but this organization truly is unmatched in every category, really. I mean, I could go down the list, but seeing the art in the facility and in the stadium, wanting to drive fan engagement, having a passion for clothing and quality clothing, also wanting to make long-lasting garments. We put together kind of a timeline of from the 80s to the 90s, 2000s, 2010, and now kind of current of how team fanwear has sort of evolved over the course of time. And you had, these vintage leather jackets that people are buying on eBay still that are just these long lasting garments. And then we shifted into kind of like blue and pink, and then bedazzled, and then kind of different, it's just been kind of an evolution of clothing. And now where we're at is, albeit that from the social media platforms of X and Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, all the interests from fans to see what players are wearing, what these people kind of inside the organization, what are they wearing? What is kind of the cultural zeitgeist that's driving their fashion? And you see, the players get off of the plane or walking through the concourse of the stadium or the tunnel, and there's just a lot of interest in that. So I think what we started, not even intentionally recognizing, but just kind of the trending curve where we're headed in that realm of team issued merchandise. And so it was like, how can we blend all of those things and kind of almost create wearable art through the course of this whole project? We've had to pivot in many ways to kind of continue to refine and make it best fit the needs of the organization, kind of the needs of the market. And that's how we kind of reach the point that we're at now. I'll kind of let you add to that too.
Yeah, I think you summarized it. Like the genesis of fanwear or the evolution, I should say, of fanwear has been super just interesting to follow, right?
Yeah.
Both as fans and then as buyers and consumers ourselves. Like early 2000s, the pink and baby blue Ugg boots, and the addition of pink to like sports fanwear for the ladies. And then understanding that, us ladies want more than just pink splash, on gear. And then you have these athletes, and you have these, wives of athletes that are creating these really interesting silhouettes. And you have fans that are scouring. I wore a vintage hat I found on Etsy to Kwesi's GM press conference. That was purple corduroy.
It was like, where'd you get that hat?
Where'd you get that hat? That's low key fire, and those are things that, I think has inspired Lee and I to be, how can we bring, pieces that are low key fire to the fan base is something that we actually would love to wear, that we feel is kind of missing, but also that kind of plays into the portfolio of the Minnesota Vikings already really rich portfolio of different types of fanwear that's already elevating what fans have access to, but just being able to, contribute in a meaningful way has been our North Star.
I was just going to say, what I think is great, for Minnesota is like the element of jackets completely makes sense, right? Like, let's be clear, just the element in general for I think football, you always hear about the jersey, to your point, what, the guys' jerseys that they purchase, and then they kind of went into like, oh, well, women want to wear jerseys too. Let's get them pink ones, or let's, add a little something. And then it's like, okay, but what about, what else? How are we going to layer? How are we going to make this like a fashion statement? And the way you did the jackets, like I'm even looking at them, it's something that you don't just have to wear game day, right? It's fashion. You can go anywhere and put that on and look fresh. Like you can look like, I look amazing in this jacket no matter where I'm going. And I love that element. It doesn't feel just so game day, right? It feels like sports, but it also feels like fashion. And then you just kind of merged all the creativity in there, which I think was beautiful. It's just beautiful the way you did it. I'm excited.
I think you hit on actually one of like the core points. And, as someone who speaks with, folks like across the 32 teams, like one of the big aspects is the markets, right? That these teams are playing in, and weather and climates are a real factor, right? And there are certain markets that kind of prefer different style of clothing than others. The Bay Area is very different than Texas, and it's different than the needs of someone living in Minnesota. And, I think those elements were something that we wanted to consider. And, Minnesota obviously having weather as a key factor, it's being able to layer and being able to transition. We have a lot of people who, yes, went to the game in London and who travel internationally, who live in various parts of, both the Twin Cities, but broader Minnesota and also around the country. And so, jackets, a 3-piece jacket collection, that really kind of provided this nice arsenal for fans was exactly what we were thinking.
Yeah, and we again kind of took inventory of what is out there a little bit more. There's a lot of t-shirts. They're all great t-shirts, but maybe that's not really the direction we want to go. There's a lot of hoodies and jerseys. And so we're trying to find a way to bring differentiation and value to the table for the Vikings of, hey, this will be really great because it's cold here. This is something that, to your point, we didn't want, we wanted to do more like tone on tone. So if you wear it to out running errands or out to dinner or whatever, it's like, does that say Vikings? It's almost like if it's going to be a limited drop collection. We want it to be kind of like this curated collection that is just serves a high-end market of a fashion discerning buyer. And kind of separates us from what is already available. All of it's great. We just were trying to find a way to create our own category. It is definitely less loud fan wear. We have the team marks on there, but it's again a little bit more subtle and taking kind of some information that we've gathered over the last year and a half of the trend of international market space of expanding the NFL, in places like London, games in Brazil, games in Germany, and trying to take that information and say, hey, this might be a really positive direction to target also. So,
and then knowing that once we had this vision, I think there's also this element of a growth mindset and environment that is able to actually make that happen. And, the Vikings marketing and partnership teams being world-class, having, the portfolio and partnerships that they had actually enabled us to have this very unique partnership between the Vikings, NFL, Fanatics, and the Wild Collective, this independent fashion house that is female CEO ran, and that we were able to kind of bring to life this collection. So it was very much, Lee and I in partnership with the world-class team, with both here at the Vikings, but also with other people across different brands, that I think is kind of the X factor, I would say. And it's very hard now being on the side. Toya, like bringing to market a product is very difficult, let alone in today's world. And I just feel like you really need a dream team of very talented, dynamic individuals who constantly are pushing each other. Like, is this as good as we can deliver? And it's sometimes uncomfortable conversations, but I think when you have that relentless pursuit of excellence, whether it's on the field or, what we deliver for fans, I think that that's something we feel very privileged to be in an environment that like actually lives and breathes that value.
I think to your point of every single detail of these garments was kind of toiled over, whether it's where the placement of the pockets or the seams or the lining or things that maybe you may not notice right up front, but as you're wearing the garment, you're like, the weight of this fabric it's just cozy, it's comfortable. All of those things were things that were created, revised again another 20 times before we had it exactly how we wanted it before we brought it to market. This has been a learn as you go process for both Chelsea and I, although I feel like we've spent our entire lives kind of unknowingly gathering information in the fashion industry. I think that what we realized was how special the support that we have received from the Vikings is, of just them recognizing that this could be something really incredible, them getting behind us. But it is a team. I mean, by the end of the day, there was many, many hands that touched this project of getting it to where it needed to be. And we're super grateful, like Chelsea said, to the support that we've received from the Vikings, and then the capabilities of Wild Collective delivering and Fanatics. And so.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of support, I know that there's going to be women that want to support you both on this journey. Where do they go if they're interested in purchasing one of your amazing jackets? I mean, they're gorgeous.
Drum roll, please. Friday, October 18th. Why did I say December?
That's your due date.
Yeah, that is my due date. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, we have
priorities.
Baby
So, yes, Friday, October 18th is when the collection actually drops for sale, and they've kind of done like a drip marketing campaign where last week they put out a 15-second like teaser reel, and then this week, I think today or tomorrow, they're dropping a 30-second. So it's something they're creating hype around, but that the production of the marketing was also another really incredible experience for both Chelsea and I to kind of help assemble, because they gave us the ability to kind of really, really do it how we wanted it. This whole collection has been very boutique, very detailed. Chelsea and I may be the most particular people that you'll ever meet. Just on having it exactly how it's supposed to be. I joke with my mom and my sister both know, they'd tease me because they'd come in my room when I was younger, and they'd kind of take something and they'd just move it ever so slightly, and I'd come back and I'd say, something's not right. Like that's just how I am. And she is wired no different. No matter what she says, she's wired just the same. But
we're particular.
Another really amazing part of the project was the photo shoot and kind of the production that we were able to do several weeks back for the marketing.
Shout out to Ven. Shout out to Jordan and team.
Unbelievable job. And we were able to kind of go scout the location of, we wanted to shoot at the stadium and also both downtown Twin Cities, and kind of blend the international feel with, London streetwear, texture of brick and cobblestone streets meets kind of like US Bank in the Twin Cities. And we were able to draw, not to digress, but we have a program, our family programming with the Minnesota Vikings is called Home Team. And it's basically the core group of women of, players, personnel, coaching staff, training, strength and conditioning, like the significant others of that collection of employees. And we've created this group called Home Team to kind of support our women from within. So this is a really difficult job. It has you moving, quite frequently, hopefully not, but it has you kind of uprooting your families. And so we wanted to create Home Team when we got here to give a community of women to support each other. We all kind of understand the football world. And so having that to draw from within of all these amazingly talented women, we had a couple of the models that were featured in the marketing are from our Home Team, whether they're players' wives or personnel or coaching. We had help on the photography side, with drawing from another coaching wife who is incredibly talented to help do some of the behind the scenes shots of the production. So again, all these stars kind of aligning with this project of pulling from our own and kind of featuring like from within these really talented women, significant others, a big kind of main point that we stand behind is like when the family is good and feels supported and well cared for, then the organization can then thrive, because the guys are then free to focus on their job and say, hey, we know our families are really taken care of. And so that's a huge priority for us. So again, not to digress, but the collection has been just this culmination of bringing together amazing people, this incredible organization, and then basically bringing that out to the public. These jackets mean so much more than just a garment that we're bringing to our fan base, but truly they are just like, yeah.
That is really one of the coolest parts, I would say, is to observe, a leader like Quinn, who runs our home team program, essentially create a flywheel with our home team program. Like, we're not just, it's, yes, there is this incredible emphasis on giving back, right? Both inside the Twin Cities, also with families. But then the women also have different careers, right? We have photographers. We have women who are running jewelry design companies. We have, incredibly talented, dynamic women in this area, and that being able to actually hire them for this collection, I think that is something that was incredibly cool. And I don't know, we don't really often, I think, in life talk about when like things feel like dreams come true. But yeah. I feel like when Leah and I were on set, with like in director mode, and being able to rock with these creatives with behind the camera. We had multiple photographers, we had incredible, like the whole dream team was there. I think it was 12 to 16 people. Like, it just felt like a dream come true. And it's truly like, yeah, I think, I don't know, I just often think back to knowing this lady. It's, we've done, as I've talked about at the beginning of the podcast, like vividly remember what working 2 jobs and barely making rent feels like, and paying off undergrad student loans, and so grateful for my time at Berkeley. But like, just like what life, the whole gamut, the portfolio, if you will, and being able to have this come true. Like, I would say, like, like high five the young Leah and Chelsea, so.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
Grateful.
And October 18th is right around the corner.
Yes.
So on October 18th, where do they go to purchase? Yep. Let us know more. Give us more info.
So right now, if you're like Leah and I, you know what you like, you want to get involved, you can go to Vikings Instagram page. They have a link that says get early access to the Vikings International Collection. You will get an email the moment that it goes live on Vikings.com on Friday. If you're like us, who it's like, let me get them details, that's what you do. If you want to shop immediately, you don't like emails coming in your inbox, wait until Friday. There will be a post on Vikings Instagram page, and you'll be able to post on you'll be able to purchase on Vikings.com. This is a limited edition collection, and so we do expect that sizes will go quickly. And so we do recommend like just kind of, I would recommend the get early access if you're really trying to make sure that you're in the know. But yeah, that's how you can score the collection.
That's awesome.
Or a piece.
And with this limited edition probably going fast, do you have anything planned post this October date, where people are like, what about me? What can I get something later? Would it be something that you do for 2025, or what's your plans moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a natural thing. Chelsea and I are kind of on this hamster wheel of like just always going forward. So I definitely think it's a natural thing to think, what's next? What are we going to bring to the market next? It was an incredibly positive experience. We are really focusing on this collection right now, and those are conversations that we do hope to have with the team and kind of assess, what went right through this collection, what are improvements that we could make for the next one. But I think that through the process, we have kind of been able to shape it into what we want it to be, and so I think that future collections are definitely something that we will be discussing and, and talking about. So we were kind of leaning on the organization for that in regards to, what that's going to look like.
And then in the meantime, just focus on 100% sell-through rate and like seeing this collection be successful.
Oh yeah, it's going to go through the roof. Like with it being limited edition and just the variety. And it's so exciting that they can go check it out now and like click a button and just wait and they know it's coming. That's really smart and it's great because they know that they can hopefully get first dibs, which everybody wants first dibs, let's be clear. So, okay, October 18th, you ladies and gentlemen know, because either one, that is the date. If you want to go online, go to Vikings.com, click on the button, get the subscribe early so that you know when it's coming out. And also think about your friends. It's the holidays are coming up. Think about people that you know are diehard Vikings fans. Think about all the people that you can surprise and bless with something that no one else will have. That's a pretty cool feeling. So ladies, I thank you so much. And I'm so excited for you. I don't think people understand how multidimensional women are, all that we go through in life, like you talked about, being athletes and going to college again for post-college, and also working and taking care of your families. And you're still finding the time to do the things that you love. I commend you for that. And I thank you for all that you're doing. And I can't wait to rock one of your jackets as well. I'm so super excited. But before you both leave, we always play this fun game at the end. It's called the 2-minute drill. Y'all know all about the 2-minute drill. It's a this or that or fill in the blank. So,
okay.
I'm just going to go back and forth and bounce questions off of you, just back and forth and get your answers. All right, here we go. Let me pull it up. Let me start my 2 minutes. Okay, here we go. 2 minutes starts now. Before you were a Vikings fan, name your favorite sports team.
Phoenix Suns.
Golden State Warriors.
Do you prefer writing fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction, maybe with embellished details. Based on true facts.
Add some spice.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, this one's for you, Leah. Modeling or coaching? Or should I say training?
Coaching, for sure. Modeling was so much fun. It was such a blast, but coaching for sure.
Okay, this is for you both. Painting or sewing?
Ooh, that's hard.
Oh, wow.
Painting on things we sewed.
Oh, yeah. That's actually, wow. That's spot on. Yeah, painted on something we sewed. Yeah. Is that a reasonable answer?
You're so politically correct. Okay. Creative director.
I actually was in a sewing class.
You were? I love that. Okay. Creative director or
I was
author?
I was 8 and only.
Oh, creative director, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, creative director.
Family game night or movie night?
Family game night.
Mm-hmm. We actually do a singing competition.
Yes. Outdoor adventures or cozy indoor days?
Where are we? Are we on?
You're definitely
California
in Minnesota
coast?
for this.
Are we on the North Shore of Hawaii? Okay, we're in Minnesota. Okay.
Outdoor adventure, I think.
She wants to go snowshoeing. If it's with Leah, I'll go snowshoeing outside. If it's not, I probably would opt for by the fire. Yeah.
Okay. This is kind of. I'm going to ask you this, but are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
My gosh. This is motherhood right here. I am a morning bird, and this is the hardest part because motherhood has changed me into a night owl. Yes. Ooh. Only things can get done creatively in the nighttime, I feel.
I want to be an early bird so bad, and I'm just accepting who I am. I'm a night owl.
All right, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Best lesson
Dark,
you've learned?
Black coffee. Oh, wow.
What season of life? What, like,
just something that pops in your mind.
Like today? only say the things that you're willing to say to people's faces. So only speak in a way that you would say always to straightforward to somebody's face.
Yep. I think complimenting that would be, I don't, I guess, know the exact way to say it, but it's just kind of always assuming that everyone's going through a lot, and keep that in the back of your mind that we all probably don't know what stuff is actually going on with people. So I think there's a level of just thoughtfulness and tact that I would say is the season of life. Yeah.
Well said. Okay, last question. Ladies, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
I'm going to cry. My pregnant hormones. Well, I wrote a children's book to my younger self. Yeah, the little Wahine, like the lesson. My mom actually said this to me all the time. It's just keep going, little Chels. Keep going. Aww. Keep going. Like whether it was sports, whether it was people telling me I need to play one sport when I really wanted to play another sport, or study one thing and I, constantly not feeling like I was just one job title, but I was a myriad of job titles, and I didn't like to be put in a box. Just like my mom always said, just keep going, Chels. So, I would tell her that.
I feel like this is something I've heard my whole life. So I grew up hearing this, but just being bold, courageous, joyful, being the light. That is something that I've always heard, and I would tell myself back then, but I did hear that back then. So I've kind of always lived my life by that. But
that's beautiful.
Go get it.
You ladies are amazing. I really enjoyed meeting you in person, and I have no doubt that whatever you come up with, it's going to turn to gold. And so I wish you both the best. And also, I know that people may have questions, or they want to run something by you. If they want to get a hold of you, how would they do that? Do you have social? Do you have email that they can reach out to?
Our cell phone numbers are. I'm just
You can reach me at
hashtag handle email me.
I will say we did create a Vikings International collection. That is the name of the collection. I don't think we actually hit on that, but we did create a Vikings International collection Instagram account, and the Vikings are putting it out on their social medias. They did so I think we're tagged in that as well. So if you go to, even if you just went to something as simple as Vikings Instagram, you can find it there.
Okay. Sounds good. Now y'all know. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining. You were amazing, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I can't wait to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you, Atoya. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, that's our show. For the latest on the Inside Lines podcast, make sure to follow on both Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out the website, InsideLinesPodcast.com, and listen to your favorite episode. Lastly, check out the YouTube page, Inside Lines Podcast, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when a new episode comes out. And please leave an amazing 5-star review online and let us know who you'd like to hear on Inside Lines Podcast. Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening.